Stony Brook that did not have the same fortunes from this past weekend. So why don't we shift to the softball team, who played their most important series to date this year. They played UMBC in a best-of-3 series on Friday and Saturday, and it was a battle for first place in the America Eastern Conference. Now, the softball team, of course, won a non-league game on Tuesday at St. John's, but that did not affect them whatsoever. That was non-conference. So Game 1 kicked off a doubleheader on Friday to kick off the whole 3-game series, and it really looked promising. It looked like, we're going to go right in there and take care of business and secure first place. The offense had one of its best showings this season to start things off. They scored 11 runs on 14 hits in Game 1.
The firepower of their team. The firepower of their team. Again, you got sluggers in Melissa Robert, who it felt like, you correct me on this, it felt like she was just in singles the past couple weeks, Yeah,
she had been in an extra base hit drought. She hadn't had an extra base hit since April 20th, which was against St. John's. So.
I was gonna point out that I felt like, it was only singles. She got a home run in the game, and it was a big reason why they were the mercy rule UMBC, which is insane. To beat UMBC is difficult enough. Do it in 5 innings on, again, 11 runs, 14 hits. Roberts hitting big. Riley Craig as well, I think 3 for 3 with a double and 3 RBIs.
Yeah.
Everyone was just hitting the ball. And then all of a sudden, Tourny Coppersmith effect happened. And oh boy, did that offense flatline.
Yeah, that completely changed the entire playoff picture in the America East. Game 2 started, and, things were actually looking really good for Stony Brook. Melissa Rarick was the pitcher for Game 2. Of course, she stayed in the 3-hole. You can never take her bat out of the lineup. And as Ken just said, in Game 1, she broke up her extra base hit streak. She hit a 2-run double in her first at-bat, and then in the next inning, she hit a 2-run homer. So now she's starting an extra base hit streak. And in Game 2, surely enough, she hits another home run in her first at-bat. Right? So now she co-leads the team along with Jordan Nowakowski with 6 home runs. And then that game, the score would be 1-0 until the 6th inning, when Melissa Rarick would help herself with an RBI single. So 2-0 late in the game, but Melissa Rarick's defense behind her just let her down. 2 crucial errors, and they allowed 3 unearned runs to score. Melissa Rarick, she went the distance, went all 7 innings, and allowed no earned runs, yet she still got the loss. And, when you're facing a pitcher as tough as Coppersmith, you cannot be spotting them extra runs, because it's hard enough to manufacture one against her. And you got 2, granted, both of them from your own pitcher, but still, they cannot be handing out these extra outs. They can't be having to get 4 or 5 outs per inning. And it seems like every single time Melissa Rarick toes the rubber, her defense lets her down. At least that's been the trend over the past couple of weeks. Now, they split the doubleheader on Friday, and the real important game was Saturday, the rubber game, Game 3, and of course, Courtney Coppersmith was going to get that game. I mean, the coach at UMBC would have had to have been out of her mind to go any other direction, and just like the UMBC coach, Coach Bryant would have been out of her mind to go with anyone other than Dawn Bodrick. And it was a battle of the aces. Of course, Courtney Coppersmith ended up the victorious of the 2 aces. Dawn Bodrick took the complete game loss. She went the full 7 innings. She allowed 4 runs, though. Only 3 of them earned while striking out 7. But Coppersmith was just dominant. She only allowed 2 hits. Yeah. One of those was a home run to Jordan Herring. Freshman outfielder Juliana Sanzone had the other hit, kind of a meaningless single. So they lost Game 3 4-1, and they lost 2 out of 3 in the series. That gave UMBC the division. So
yeah, it is, again, an incredible run for Stony Brook. But obviously, UMBC has become the team to beat. And again, it's that acquisition, Courtney Coppersmith, coming out of nowhere and becoming the conference's most lethal weapon in softball. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable accomplishments this young woman has accomplished. And again, another complete game, going nearly perfect, can only give up the 1 run. Coach Chris Kohlmeyer spoke about after the game that, Coppersmith is arguably the most valuable player in this conference. We talked about Melissa Rowridge, Dawn Bodberg as well, but what Coppersmith does on that mound, again, virtually never giving up more than any runs, or at the very least more than 1 or 2.
Right. So if you're going to score 1 or 2, then you cannot afford to allow any. And guess what? Melissa Rorick really didn't allow any. So, when she induces those ground balls and those pop-ups, you've got to make those plays. You can't be handing them 3 unearned runs. So it was really unfortunate that Melissa Rorick really put her heart and soul into that game. And they should have won that game. If they had won that game, they would have won the series and it would have won them the division. Now, because they lose the division, they actually fall all the way down to the number 3 seed. So they will be facing number 2 UAlbany next week.
And we spoke about that. And we spoke about that too. Again, where UMBC, they're the team to beat. But for
Stony
Stony
Brook, they
Brook,
got hot at the right time. They got hot at the best possible time to get hot.
Exactly at the end of the season.
Right.
But really, for Stony Brook, to me, they're going to face UAlbany. And for them, that's the first hump in their road that they need to get over before they get to UMBC. This isn't like Women's Lacrosse, Stony Brook. You can't overlook any games here. Not that Women's Lacrosse is doing that, but I'm just saying, just analyzing the situation. UAlbany swept Stony Brook in their 3-game series earlier this month.
Yeah,
the most Stony Brook scored were 2 runs. They got shut out in game 2. So this is a team where you don't want to fall behind because you're only afforded a couple of losses in the tournament before you're out. So for Stony Brook, again, it's going to take a lot going up against a number 2 team in UAlbany. And I think UMBC, UAlbany, and Stony Brook are all very close 1, 2, and 3. Really, any team can beat any other on any given day. But for Stony Brook, the Bats have really got to wake up. And defensively, you can't afford any mistakes because those unforced errors are going to be the ones that bite you at the end of the day.
Yeah, again, especially when you go up against a pitcher who will not surrender jack, right? Courtney Coppersmith is not going to allow any more than 2 runs, okay? And that's on her bad days, right? Like Courtney Coppersmith allowing 2 runs, that was a terrible outing for her. And I mean, of course, it's tough when you have to pitch to Melissa Rorick, right? So at least maybe they have found Courtney Coppersmith's kryptonite, and it's Melissa Rorick, right? But
that's what it's going to be. Again, this is going back to 2 seasons ago where Coppersmith threw a no-hitter in the semifinals of the American East Conference. Okay, to do it during playoffs is absolutely nuts.
Right.
The reigning pitcher of the year for a reason.
Go ahead.
One very important thing. They don't have to play them, if they're lucky, more than once in this tournament. Double elimination tournament. Now, of course, it's much tougher to win having lost 1 game. And we'll go chapter and verse on how baseball only did that during the 2012 College World Series run. But the whole point is, meet them once, beat them once, and worry about the rest of the conference and what the teams you're going to face in the tournament. You may have to beat them again in the final. That's the only tricky part.
But you know what, Matt, though? It's not like they can't beat them. I mean, Stony Brook outplayed UMBC in Game 3. That game was won without those errors. So, and they have the bullets to win. I mean, who has a better 1-2 than Dawn Bodrig and Melissa Rorick? Not many teams. And,
Courtney Coppersmith.
Yeah, I mean, she herself
is a point. Seawolves have 2, and UMBC's got 1 in terms of great pitchers.
Yes, exactly. And, if they want to win, if they want to make damage in this postseason, and they do, and they definitely have the talent and the ability. They've been winning all year up until late. So if they really want to make some noise in the playoffs, they've got to start cashing in with runners in scoring position. I mean, they've had their games, obviously. Game 1 of the series, and they scored 11 runs. They were all over the place with runners in scoring position. But a big theme of their season is a lot of missed opportunities. Even when I was covering them on the ground last, I guess it was two weeks ago now on Wednesday when they played UMass Lowell in a rainout makeup doubleheader. And they won both of those games, but I'm pretty sure they left like a combined 15 runners on base between the 2 games, and like 9 of them were in Game 1.
Here are the scores, and just on that point, and here are the scores Stony Brook has had for the past couple of weeks. And that UMass Lowell series, they swept Riverhawks 2-1, 3-2. The UAlbany series, they lost all three. 6-2, shutout 2-0, 3-1. They beat St. John's 3-2 off a 7th inning clutch single by Brooke Dye.
Yes.
The UMBC, obviously, the 11-2 game is an outlier against Tourny Coppersmith's 3-2 and 4-1 loss for the Seawolves. For the Seawolves, again, you're absolutely right. They got to start catching it. And again, it's not like they don't have power to do this. You got Melissa Roberts, Dawn Bodrug when she's playing, Jordan Nowakowski, who's leading the team and is among the best hitters in the conference in home runs.
Jordan Herring,
who's one of the greatest slap hitters and players to get on base ever. Right. Nicole McCarville as well.
She's as good a table setter as Stony Brook has ever had. And then they've even got talent, down beneath them. Lindsay Osmer is good. She can hit. Nicole McCarville is good. She can hit. Even freshman Juliana Sanzone, she's red hot. She's hitting over 300 this year. She can hit, and she's got some pop. They've got the bullets to do this, to drive in these runs when they're out there. But they've got to stop leaving them on base, because these are low-scoring games, and they're games that they should be winning. They are not the third best team in the conference. In my opinion, they are the best team in this conference, yet they are the 3 seed. And the majority of that is because they haven't been driving in those key runs. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes isn't good enough, okay? And if you're not going to drive in the key run every time, you got to make the plays in the field. You can't be allowing 3 unearned runs. You can't be spotting Courtney Coppersmith 3 late runs. Can't be doing that. Cannot be doing that at all, okay?
I'll say another thing, too, that kind of hurts Stony Brook in that essence. So that proves your point again, for Stony Brook, again, one of the top 3 teams in the conference, especially on offense. 1 and 2, UAlbany hitting just under 300, and UMBC right behind them at 288. Stony Brook's hitting under 270.
Yeah.
And all
260 going into that St. John's game. So
every one of the offensive stats are led by UMBC or UAlbany. So again, This is an offense where they need to play perfect softball, because pitching wise, they have the lowest ERA, the only team in the conference with an ERA under 2. Even UMBC, with Courtney Coppersmith having a 0.4 ERA, has a combined team ERA of 2.41. Okay, and Stony Brook has played 6 more games than the Retrievers. Yeah. And 12 of those are shutouts, so they're matching Coppersmith on the shutout ability.
Yeah.
So again, we know the pitching is there, we know the talent is there, but again, when it comes time for the Stony Brook team, you're absolutely right. The bats got to wake up, or they're going to get sent home early, and they're going to have their first challenge against UAlbany on Thursday.
Right. Most importantly, the bats, but definitely the gloves too. Now let's give some shout outs here. So Melissa Rarick, she went 4 for 8 this weekend with a double, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, and 3 runs scored. And with her homer, with one of her 2 homers, the first one on Friday, she became the program's all-time leader in RBIs. That is a phenomenal accomplishment. That's really once in a lifetime when you think about it. So hats off to Melissa Rarick. Congratulations. And, of course, she also pitched a complete game with no earned runs or walks allowed. Senior Jordan Herring, who is the program's all-time leader in singles, she went 4 for 9 with a home run this weekend and scored 3 runs herself. Third baseman Riley Craig went 4 for 9, including 3 for 3 in Game 1. And freshman Juliana Sanzone went 3 for 9 with 2 runs driven in this past weekend. So couple of good, pretty solid performances, and they're definitely gonna have to take it to the next level if they're not there already.